Good afternoon. Welcome to this seminar on communication skills. We are thrilled to be presenting to you all today. This session has been created by the Straight Talking Group, a group made up of people with complex communication needs, support workers, university staff and students. We meet every 2 weeks or so in the Queen Mother building on the main campus at the University of Dundee. We get involved in research communication projects in the School of Science and Engineering and the School of Medicine, and help students with their research projects for people like us who have communication difficulties. The main job we have is to help researchers improve communication systems to make it easier and quicker for people like us to communicate. We also evaluate new communication technology for industry. We have presented at international conferences and lead workshops and seminars in communication skills like this one. We hope that you enjoy the seminar today and that it helps you to understand more about different ways of communicating and how to be a good communication partner for people with complex communication needs. We have pre-recorded this session to allow us all to share our stories, but we will have a live question and answer session at the end. So, let's get started with some introductions.
Hello, I'm Elaine. I'm a professor in computing at Dundee, and it has been my honor to be part of this group since its inception.
Hello, my name is Karen McBride. I live in Birkhill with my mum and 2 dogs called Mia and Jessie. I have lived here all my life. I have been going to the Straight Talking Group since 2010.
I am Sylvia Grant and I come from Glenrothes. I have been coming since the group started about 15 years ago.
Hi, I'm Hui Wenqi. I come from China and I'm a university Dundee student who just graduated in this month, and I come to this group just twice, but I found it's so amazing group. Yeah.
My name is Alan McGregor. I live independently in my own flat in Glams by Forther. I have 3 helpers that come to assist me throughout the week. I have been a member of the Straight Talking Group for 14 years now. I am an honorary research assistant at Dundee University. I help out at university to create new software for non-speaking people. I also give talks to students about being a non-speaking person and the troubles we face in everyday life.
My name is Dare Stark. And I come from Perth just outside of Dundee.
My name is Georgie. I live in Perth and I've been a member of the Straight Talking Group since 2012.
Hello, my name is Callum Milne. I live in Peterhead, which takes 2 hour drive to get here, and have only joined Straight Talking Group in the last 3 months. I have been using AAC devices for communication for almost 5 years.
First of all, we are going to explain what it means to have severe communication difficulties. We will explain about augmentative and alternative communication, in short AAC. Believe us, it's much easier to say or type AAC rather than augmentative and alternative communication. We will also tell a few stories from our own experiences of interactions in healthcare settings. The presentation will end with some of our important tips for successful communication with everyone. Please feel free to ask questions in the chat throughout the presentation. It will help us to prepare our answers prior to the discussion later. So that is the plan. Let's see how it goes. First, we need to agree some definitions. What do we mean by severe communication difficulties? When we use the term severe communication difficulties, we mean that people sometimes find it difficult to express themselves using their way of talking. People with a communication difficulty may choose to use their own speech, signing, or another method to communicate. It could be because of a lifelong condition, as in cerebral palsy, or a learning disability, or both. It could be an acquired condition after a stroke, or a laryngectomy, or a new disability due to an accident or an adverse reaction to medical treatment. It could even be short-term, as in a very sore throat. It could be degenerative, for example as a result of motor neuron disease. So having a severe communication difficulty could happen to anyone at any time, for any length of time. When we say the term severe communication difficulties, we mean that people with communication difficulties know what they want to say, but they sometimes have difficulties expressing themselves and making themselves understood by the way they communicate. We mentioned augmentative and alternative communication earlier, but what is it? The meaning of AAC is a term for a wide range of communication methods which are used to enhance or replace speech for people who have speech difficulties or aren't able to use their own voice for some reason. There are many AAC methods available. Most people use more than one. There are 3 communication method types. The first method type is the unaided one: eye contact, sign language, gestures, or just pointing at things. The unaided methods generally work well when you're in the bath or shower, or in the car, where it is difficult to hold anything steady or to use anything because of the movement. AAC can also be aided with letter boards or symbol boards or picture boards. These methods work well anywhere it is noisy, like in a pub or at parties or at concerts. These methods are called light tech. The third type of AAC is aided as well, with electronic voice output communication aids, which we call vocals. They are generally a bit quicker and easier to communicate with because they have predictive systems that can help you type or find what you want to say. We all use more than one type of AAC to communicate. I usually use my high-tech communication device every day when I've finished getting ready and I am in my wheelchair to facilitate communication, and when I'm not using my high-tech voice output device. I have a red sign symbol book and I have sign language based on Makaton.
I use facial expressions, vocalizations and my light writer device.
Currently, use a phone. Communication. System on my iPad. At Dundee and Cambridge University. Has been developing for a few years.
What else do you use?
I sometimes use gestures and facial expressions with people that I know because it is much quicker and easier.
The device I am using here is an iPad with an application called Snap, which has a whole range of topics and menus which have programmable buttons and a keyboard page where I can type and use predictive text and have it spoken out loud. I sometimes also use a word board where I can point to words to form a sentence. It can work well for one-to-one communication, but doesn't work so well in a group setting. Sometimes I use a little bit of sign language and gesturing, and I can try to vocalize a little bit of words here and there. My preferred method of communicating is using my iPad. Obviously, this is not ideal in certain situations, like when I'm swimming, or even in the pub where it might be a bit too loud. This is where my word board or gestures come in useful.
As the AAC technology, because of my international student, I just use some translator, like Google Translator.
I initially used a grip pad for communication, but then transferred software to a laptop. I use it every day at work, or in groups like this. Otherwise, I use an app on my phone, which is a lot slower. I do finger typing text to audio output, where I can prepare text before, or can do random typing.
I have a communication passport.
These are documents or written information that contain contact details and basic useful information about the person. For example, your name, how you communicate, medical problems, allergies, special issues, likes and dislikes. Look for them, and if you see them, politely ask if you can look at the passport. So, in summary, AAC covers many methods, and AAC is used by many different people. So, what does communication mean? Interaction. Communication is talking to one another, getting to know one another, sharing a joke or worry or a memory, making decisions. We all have everyday decisions to make. Coffee, a beer, green shoes or purple ones. Then bigger decisions. When do I want to go to the dentist? Where do I want to live? Independence. Deciding to go into town shopping on my own. Deciding what the carers will do first today. Independence for us means having control over our own lives. Often this will mean being able to direct others to support us to do things when we cannot physically do things for ourselves. Expressing feelings. Sharing that you like different types of food. Telling someone you like them and telling people how you feel. Community participation. Joining friends at the cinema or at a gig or helping out at a drop-in group. Communication is the essence of life. Right from birth we learn to communicate and go on learning. It seems to be straightforward, doesn't it? But the playing field isn't so level for people like us, who aren't able to use our own voices. We experience communication in many different ways from you. Some of us don't always manage to develop all the communication skills that we should, and some of us lose skills as we age or when we acquire a disability later in life. So what can go wrong? It's not easy to imagine, but we and our carers believe that communication difficulties put us at risk of injury and neglect, and this has been backed up by research worldwide. The research says there is a lack of staff training. Medical staff do not always understand the way we communicate. Here are some problems we have had.
One of my doctors always look at the floor when he see me, and once he told me to hurry up once.
I've had my communication aid taken away from me for safekeeping when I've been admitted to hospital. Please don't put it in the locker.
This is very important to me, as it is my voice for me to be able to understand you and give my opinions. I do find that some people will not always allow me to complete my sentences in full. They often read what I am typing or hear what I am trying to say and will answer before I have finished what I am trying to say. I prefer to be able to have time to complete my sentence, and I will then speak out what I am saying in full.
Biggest challenge, and I still have it, is answering or trying to communicate on the phone. The first 15 seconds are key, where during the time will determine if the person who is calling will hang up right away or not. They won't realise that I am typing, or they think it's a robot or a spam call. I do have prepared sentences for phone calls, including, "Please don't hang up, I am not a robot." Even with prepared text, the caller can either miss the initial message, can't quite hear, or already having a bad day and not in the mood for this type of call. The worst offenders for hanging up are actually doctors, GP receptionists. The amount of times I have phoned or been called, and with the slightest gap, they just hang up. So the flow or speed of trying to communicate with a call is very difficult.
As I'm cerebral palsy people, I just have some oral problem who just impact my communicating with daily life, and it is so interesting about when I phone to others, they just told me, "Oh, can you just find a good way to get a great connection?" Yeah.
Another example of not being able to easily use a phone. On one occasion I went to an ENT clinic, and at the door entrance it said, "Please call to verify your appointment for the door to be opened." I was there because of a hearing issue. How would I hear the call effectively? But also, I can't talk, so how do I get in? And I can't use the phone without another AAC device for text to audible output. There was little window, and one of the assistants passed by and I waved. She made the hand sign to phone. I tried to show her the hand sign that I could not talk, but she kept doing hand sign to phone. In the end, I had to contact my wife to phone them to let me in.
And I had the same problem booking appointments or phoning up to change an appointment. I always have to have someone there because people won't talk to me because they think I'm drunk. So things have improved a lot. really makes us vulnerable in terms of accessing healthcare.
Sometimes. Won't. Let. Speak. For. Me.
And that's the other side of the coin, is that when you need somebody to speak for you, they won't let the other person speak. So for me it's a bit easier because I can go on the phone and say, yes, I'm here, listen to what my interpreter is telling you. But with somebody who uses AAC, for some reason people don't incorporate that into their process.
Even when I say they can.
Yeah. Because I think, and this is another challenge we have, is that when people don't use their own voice, they are immediately considered to be unable to give consent for other people to speak for them, which I don't think any of us around this table has a problem with. But that's how people perceive us.
We feel that we are treated differently by hospital staff. They do not see past our disabilities, and so ordinary problems are missed. We need to let medical staff know our needs and wants. We need to be able to ask for a drink or to make menu choices. We need to be able to tell you about our pain. We need to be able to ask questions. And we need to be able to give consent. But often people think they know what we want and they get it wrong. People with an acquired speech disability find that they have to adapt their communication. The flow changes in communication is far slower. Why do staff assume we all have learning disabilities? Even if we do, it should not matter. If we have an acquired disability, we notice that people react and treat us differently. Some of us live independently and lead our own lives. We have spoken at conferences. We travel the world. One way to help people to communicate better with us is to change how people see us. It just takes a bit of learning on both sides how to get it right, but we're here to play our part. Although AAC focuses on speech impairments due to physical and neurodevelopmental delay, people who use AAC may also have hearing, language or visual impairments. Interacting with people who have severe communication impairments will provide you with confidence to communicate with people who are deaf or have a hearing impairment, people who have a language impairment or who do not speak English, people who are blind or have a visual impairment. AAC strategies are also helpful when interacting with people with mental health illness or disorders. So, in a sense, having knowledge of AAC will provide you with strategies to listen and communicate more effectively with everybody. Here are some top tips from our experiences and from organisations who work with disabled people in communication. When you meet someone for the first time, there is a sense of worry and embarrassment for both people. How do we get over this? Sometimes it is a smile. Sometimes it is a handshake, or just a simple greeting like, "Hi." All of these would give clues as to how the person communicates. Most people can answer yes and no. Find out how we say yes and no. It is quite often a nod of the head or shake of the head, or a look up or down, or a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
No. Hi.
It is important to talk to us, even if you need to get some information from carers. If a helper is there, you may need to ask them how the person would say yes and no. But the doctor should rather communicate with the person than any helper, because the helper cannot feel what we can feel. We know that it might be more time-consuming and more difficult, but we feel that it's really important for doctors to talk to the disabled person and not to their carer. From our own experiences, the carer might not have seen the person for a few days before taking them to the doctor, and the carer might not know the person very well.
One time I was at an appointment with my dad at 9 Wells. The doctor spoke to my dad pretty much the whole time, which is not good as my dad is not the patient. I usually go to the doctors with my dad instead of my personal assistants. My doctor talks to me through the appointment, but may occasionally ask my dad questions. I don't have a problem with this as my doctor is interacting with me too. I usually write what is wrong with me on a piece of paper and give it to the doctor when I go. I find this is quicker and easier for me, as the appointment isn't long enough for me to write down what is wrong with me and say it to the doctor. One time I gave my letter to the doctor and he had a quick read of it and just put it down on his desk. He then proceeded to ask me why I was at the doctor's.
So please don't assume that the people with us know us well, know our medical histories, or know much about us at all. Although carers are very important, and we would be the first to say that, we do know ourselves best. Body language is usually 55% of communication. Tone of voice is 38%, while words count for only 7%. It is even more important to remember this with the AAC. So be aware of our non-verbal language, as well as the words from our devices. Some people might not understand difficult terminology. Remember, don't talk down to us, but it is always good to check. And if you don't understand us, it is okay to ask us to repeat. You may wish to draw things or use picture symbols. Some people have their own, and some people may need to use objects or photos and symbols. Using pictures to help communicate about pain is very helpful as well. Widget symbols have good resources for download. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. We all learn from experience. The most important tip is to give us time. Don't try to rush us by filling in our words. You might guess wrongly. Please give us more time. This is important. Just wait and allow us to prepare what we want to say. Remember, try not to guess and blurt out what you think we are saying before we've said it. You can always check what we mean if something isn't clear. To round up the seminar, we thought we'd share what AAC means to us and the impact it has on our everyday life experiences.
AAC devices completely opened up my life again. When I initially lost the ability to talk, I did not want to see anyone. I could not even go to buy some milk. I was horrified that I could not ask a simple question. I had been working overseas and had time off when I came back. I needed to get back to work and had no idea how I was going to do that. When introduced to AAC, it almost looked complicated, or I wondered how could I have a one-to-one conversation. I had no idea how this was going to work, but I was trying to be talking person instead of an AAC person. Then I was shown that there are many methods of AAC communication. And the type of AAC method that I knew I would be able to use was typing text to audio. Impact was a change overnight. Suddenly I had a goal, several targets, and within a year I was fully communicating, landed a full-time job, and since then have presented at 3 major events in UK and Germany. I am now involved in several activities.
Can you present in German? I thought that would be easy. Easy AAC.
Do Spanish.
Oh!
Of anything apart from an alphabet board that one of my teachers made for me, and I used to get so frustrated because it was so slow means of communicating, but now I can have conversations with people.
My voice helped me to be independent, and I don't know I would be without it.
Although I also have an impairment of the communication with others, but I think it is so important because it can be for me, it can be get more related to other people, get more the connection with other soul in just people inside, yeah.
And I think that's why we talk about how important it is to be able to communicate, because it affects everything we do.
AAC means everything to me. My AAC device gives me a voice. It gives me the chance to say how I feel or what I think. It allows me to voice my opinion. It allows me to be able to have and join in conversations with family and friends. Actually, it allows me to communicate with everyone.
AAC means I have a voice. I am not ignored and pushed to the back. AAC gives me choices. My AAC allows me to train new staff, sharing my likes and dislikes, making my life my own. Having a voice protects me and keeps me safe. My AAC also helps me build friendships and allows me to work. So to summarize the question, what does AAC mean to me? It means I am free to be me. It means I have a voice, and there is nothing more powerful. We hope that you've enjoyed the session. There are several of us from the group in the session just now, and we would love to answer some questions. In line with our advice about the importance of giving us time, we purposefully left extra time within the session to allow us time to compose our answers. Feel free to ask us anything, we don't bite.